Well, I personally think Aaron O'Toole did an excellent job. Look, for the beginning of the campaign, we're knocking on doors. People were asking us who that leader was, and he wasn't really well known. But he did a very, very good job in just 36 days in making his name a household name. He had a clear plan with a vision. We had a clear platform, in my opinion, by far the best from all the parties. Certainly a platform that we can deliver on, unlike the Liberal platform, which is always full of promises that are broken. And we have a litany of those that we can point to. Perhaps COVID played a role in that. I believe that if we had a better turnout, the result may be different. I see a wave has gone through York region. It's hard to swim against the wave, and it got us this time.
And Costas, back in 2019, this was one of the handful of ridings in Canada that if you move the PPC vote to your stable, you would have defeated Majid Johari, the supporter of the Iranian regime. I still can't believe that is a fact of life here.
Shockingly, Majid Johari, the ally of the Khomeinist Islamic State of Iran, was reelected. Let's go there now via Skype. David, hello. Costas, hello. Tough night. Give us your thoughts.
Yes. Hi, Ezra. I am indeed with Costas Menegakis, and we were expecting this to be a super tight race. Not so tight, certainly not as like 2019 when just a couple of hundred votes turned the tide. Costas, what do you think went wrong?
Well, it's a little early to analyze and do exactly what happened, but certainly one contributing factor that I could point to at this point, with 83% of the polls reporting, we only have about 23,000 votes. That's less than half of what we got last election. I believe last time about 58,000 people voted in Richmond Hill. This time, voter turnout appears to be very, very low, less than 50% of what it was in 2019. So perhaps COVID played a role in that. I believe that if we had a better turnout, the result may be different. I see a wave has gone through York region. It's hard to swim against the wave, and it got us this time.
And Costas, back in 2019, this was one of the handful of ridings in Canada that if you move the PPC vote to your stable, you would have defeated Majid Johari, the supporter of the Iranian regime. I still can't believe that is a fact of life here. What do you count for a lower turnout, given that I saw this election being characterized with such anger? The fact that it was called in the first place, why did people stay home other than just the fear of COVID-19?
Yeah, look, we knocked on every door of my campaign. I had an outstanding group of volunteers. I'm grateful for their support and their help. Hundreds of people, literally, we knocked on every door in Richmond Hill at least once and some twice. I was just delighted with the reception I was getting at the doors. People certainly were upset that this was an unnecessary and unwanted election. I think our leader, Aaron O'Toole, did a bang-up job bringing out the platform early on and communicating that platform. But the turnout was low, and if you turn on the TV news networks today, we heard over and over and over that there's lineups. There's people were concerned with COVID, I guess. And with a low turnout, the results get somewhat skewed. And with no disrespect to the voters, the people have spoken. We do live in the best country in the world in which to live. We have to accept the democratic will of the people, albeit in the reduced amount of people that voted. And I'm sure over the next days and weeks, we'll have plenty of time to do a proper post-mortem and analyze specifically what happened to us, not only here in Richmond Hill, but across the province.
Costas, since you mentioned Aaron O'Toole, it's a projected Liberal minority. It's the status quo, basically, from 30 days ago. What do you think is the future of Aaron O'Toole with this party? Is he going to be back for another run at it, which might happen as early as 18 months down the road? Or do you think that Mr. O'Toole has some of the blame? By all accounts, Justin Trudeau ran a disastrous campaign. I thought Aaron O'Toole did very well in the beginning, but kind of faltered in the home stretch, flip-flopping on the carbon tax, the gun ban. What are your thoughts on that?
Perhaps COVID played a role in that. I believe that if we had a better turnout, the result may be different. I see a wave has gone through York region. It's hard to swim against the wave, and it got us this time.
And Costas, back in 2019, this was one of the handful of ridings in Canada that if you move the PPC vote to your stable, you would have defeated Majid Johari, the supporter of the Iranian regime. I still can't believe that is a fact of life here.
So I think Aaron O'Toole has distinguished himself as a leader that can communicate well. And I believe he deserves another chance. I believe he deserves the support of conservatives from coast to coast moving forward.
I think one of the big stories of this election, Costas, has been the surge in popularity of the PPC. Of course, percentages don't necessarily translate into seats, and as of right now, they don't have any. But, I mean, is there going to be some sort of way to, unite the right again, so there's not this fracture that doesn't seem to be helping the conservative cause at all?
Yeah, we've seen the CPC surge a little bit, but quite frankly, they didn't make a difference in your region. They certainly didn't make a difference here in Richmond Hill. They were not the reason why we lost this election. The PPC was, it appears to most voters here that I spoke to, and certainly to me, that they were a one policy party. You see their signs throughout Richmond Hill that they put up. They did put up many, but those that did put up, they only had their logo, PPC, and then they had these other signs that said, "Say no to passports." Well, you forgive me if I believe that a person that wants to lead the country or a party that wants to earn the trust of Canadians should be talking about the economy, should be talking about immigration, should be talking about the environment, should be talking about health, should be talking about a whole bunch of issues that are important to Canadians, not just the passports. They didn't do a good job communicating their message. It is a splinter off the Conservative Party. Certainly he is, Mr. Bernier. But I think he's got to reflect and see that how ineffective he was. It was just background noise as it happens.
And one last question, Costas. I know you have to get back into the pub here, but you mentioned it yourself. The Trudeau Liberals have been very good at breaking promises. Certainly Justin Trudeau involved in so many scandals. It must be baffling. It must be frustrating to you and to those who oppose the Justin Trudeau Liberals that they still seem to get rewarded. I mean, for goodness sakes, yet another photo of Justin Trudeau in blackface emerged just yesterday. What do you make of this? I mean, it just seems to be such a hard equation for me to solve.
Yeah, I wish I had an answer for that. I'm as perplexed as you are, and as a lot of Canadians are, that's for sure. Look, he comes across as someone who tries to give you the impression that he cares, and he cares deeply. And, everything that he says sounds good, for sound bites, but he doesn't deliver. We're looking at a $1.4 trillion debt now. God knows what it's going to be after this term with him back in office. Certainly, he talks a lot about climate change and the environment. If anybody compares the record over the past 6 years, greenhouse gas emissions have gone up in Canada. They haven't gone down. He tries to portray himself as the champion of climate change. It's as perplexing to me as it is to many Canadians as to why he keeps getting rewarded in this way. But I do believe that the will of the people will succeed at the end of the day. And once we get through this pandemic, which was appears to be somewhat of a gift to him, once we get through this pandemic, then we'll be in a much, I think people will have an opportunity to reflect back on the Trudeau years and see how disastrous they have been for the country.
Well, Costas, I just want to thank you sincerely. You're a gentleman. You're a man of your word. I mean, we would have loved to have interviewed all the Conservative candidates. There was a gag order on for our organization for reasons that remain baffling to us. But you came through. You agreed to an interview earlier on. And Ezra, I'm going to wrap it up right now. But unless you, my friend, have a question that you'd like to ask Costas.
No, I'm really grateful to him for spending so much time with you. Costas, all the best to you, and thanks for being someone who spent your time and effort and energy trying to serve the public. And I think you should feel proud that you ran and that you ran so passionately. So you have my personal regards, and thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you very much, Ezra. Thank you, David.
Okay. Thank you, Costas.
David, great work. I know you were the leading investigative journalist in that riding. We're going to say goodbye to you now because we have some news from a couple of other districts we're going to go to. Great reporting tonight. Thanks, my friend.
Thank you so much, Ezra. Take care.
All right, there you have it. David the Menzoid Menzies reporting from Richmond Hill, an area he knows very well because he lives there.